Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today on this episode, we're going to be doing a video that is going to be relevant for a lot of people out there, especially anglers that primarily fish off the bank and fish small ponds and things like that. But this is actually a video for a friend of ours here at St. Jude, Allie. She's part of the valet staff, and they make everything so easy for us to just show up to the hospital and do all our appointments. So shout out to Allie and the rest of the staff at St. Jude. But Allie's been fishing a lot more recently, and she fishes a lot of the lakes around here at Memphis, like Shelby Farms. Shelby Farms is a park that has a lot of different ponds and things like that. So I looked on Google Earth, kind of took just a gander at how it's all laid out and everything like that, and saw that it's laid out very similar to a lot of lakes and ponds that people fish all around the country. When you think of ponds, a lot of times you think of little fisheries that have a lot of vegetation, but for many people, I would venture to say most little ponds don't have a ton of vegetation in them, because usually they've been made in the last decade or so. A lot of them are made because they're a development is being constructed, and then they create this little water feature, and then they stock it with fish, or other people stock it with fish, and so it just hasn't had time to establish like a lot of vegetation. So if you're fishing that type of pond where it may have some vegetation, like reeds on the shoreline, or a little bit of grass starting to develop in the lake, or maybe some lily pads in a corner somewhere, but mostly it's open water, this is probably going to be a very relevant topic for you. So we're going to go through two different tactics for those of you that are going to be primarily bank fishing. Now, I got a fire truck coming up here, so we're going to just wait 1 second. The beauty of being in the middle of the city. We're here in Memphis. We're here at Target House, so it is pretty noisy. But these are two different techniques that are going to be really good for lakes that have very little cover or vegetation, or have moderate cover or vegetation in them. Okay, they are very versatile, but fishing from the bank, you don't have the luxury of, like, if you snag on something, going and getting the bait generally, unless you want to wade or go swimming. With a boat, you can get right on top of it, stick your rod in the water, and get it unsnagged. So these are two baits that work best in lighter cover. All right, so the first bait that I recommend for everybody, regardless of if you're fishing spinning gear or a bait casting gear, if you're new to a pond, and it's a pond where you can really go walk around and kind of fish the perimeter of the pond, like I see at Shelby Farms, this is going to be a really good search bait, a really good bait to just walk around, cover water, explore the lake a little bit, and that is a chatterbait. All right, a chatterbait is kind of a hybrid between like a jig and what used to be kind of like a spinner bait, just because it has this metal blade component to it, but it makes a lot of vibration. It has a lot of flash, and it's just really good for clear to dirty water, and so many different situations. So chatterbait is going to be really good. And again, spinning gear, bait casting gear, it really doesn't matter. The biggest thing, if you're using spinning gear, which usually caters more to lighter tackle, I would recommend using a 1/4 ounce chatterbait. But for bait casting gear, Allie bought a casting rig, and I would recommend the 3/8 ounce chatterbaits out there. I wouldn't go much heavier than 3/8 ounce fishing from the bank. It's different, again, than fishing from the boat, where you're not worried about it grinding on the bottom as much and snagging. Okay, so 1/4 ounce spinning gear, 3/8 for bait casting gear. And I like to use white. That may be surprising to a lot of people, but most ponds lack good water clarity. Now, there's some ponds that have springs and stuff in them, and they stay pretty clear, but for the most part, a lot of these small ponds are pretty dirty. They're dingier. The water clarity is pretty down, and a chatterbait in white is a really good choice, even if you don't have shad in that lake. Again, this isn't rocket science. Bass are very opportunistic. They're not like super hyper focused on only feeding on bluegill if the bluegill are around. They will react to something that you know, is interesting to them, even if they're not used to seeing something that's white in the fishery. So white is really good. It shows up really good in dirty water, but you can also, if you're looking for some other colors, green pumpkin and black and blue are pretty standard. And so if you have those three colors, white, black and blue, and green pumpkin, you're solid. As far as like the gear that I'd use with this, again, we're bank fishing. We're not performing brain surgery. We don't need to make it too complicated. I tend to do that. You know, I'm a professional angler. I go tournament fish, money's on the line. So I have to perfect everything. You know, every component in my system has to be exact. But for bank fishing, man, whatever line you got on your rod, come on, let's keep it simple. Let's be real here. I'll tell you exactly my preference in line, but this is just a preference, not, you know, the rule. For spinning gear, I like to use probably, you know, either a braided main line, like 15 or 20 pound braided main line, like Seagar Smackdown, to a 12 pound leader, okay, like fluorocarbon leader, all right, 12 or 15 pound. And so that would be my preference. Or you can just go straight braid, all right, to this bait. If you're using bait casting gear, even better. You know, use 15 to 20 pound fluorocarbon. But again, as long as you're not using, you don't have like ultra light line, anything below 10 pound test on either spinning gear or bait casting gear, you're gonna be fine. You're gonna catch fish. You're just looking to go get some bites and have a good time. So just cast this bait out, reel it back in. It's that easy. Really what I like to look for is any irregularities on the shoreline, like you know, at Shelby Farms, it looks like a lot of the ponds have a lot of points, a lot of riprap, and things like that. Okay, and if you get a little bit of wind, definitely start throwing this on those windy banks. Okay. All right, so the next rig that I'm going to show you that is a absolute killer, and this is a good 1-2 punch. You know, these work very well together. Is another one that you can use on spinning gear or bait casting gear. It's very traditional bass fishing technique, and that is going to be a Texas rigged stick bait. Okay, so here we've got a weighted Texas rig on this stick bait, and a stick bait is essentially a design of soft plastic worm that is real popular. You know, things like the Z-Man Zinkers or the Senko, you know, those are the gold standard as far as worms. It's a proven design, and it just flat out catches them. Okay, so you can fish this weightless without this weight that we put on here, or you can fish it with a weight. The reason I like the weight is because I feel like it's more versatile. You can fish it on deeper areas. You can fish it around, like if you're fishing off of a fishing pier that has a lot of brush, you can fish that weighted you know, stick bait through that brush very well. You can fish in a shallow water, you can fish in a deep water. I just like the versatility of having that weight. But one thing we do is we peg that weight. So I'll use a rubber T-peg to peg that weight on there. You can go to any tackle shop and they got those T-pegs on, you know, in the terminal tackle section, and they're essentially just little rubber, you know, T-looking pegs that you slide in there and then trim, and it just keeps those weights right there. But a Texas rig is going to be a really good all-around choice for bank fishing just about anywhere. And this is one that you can fish in the thickest of cover too. So this is about as versatile as it gets for bass fishing from the bank. So anyways, guys, oh, and as far as how to fish this, you want, really I would apply two different retrieves. If I'm fishing on the bottom and really just, you know, it's a clean bottom and I think that that's where the fish are oriented, I will just drag it. I'll just literally just drag it on the bottom, you know, let it, you know, just maintain complete bottom contact. All right. But if I'm fishing it through cover or just trying to cover water, I will just do a hop and drop retrieve. So I'll just hop it up and let it glide back down. okay? Simple as that, and you just keep doing that back to the bank. But very, very easy, and that's a technique. If it's flat, calm, there's not a wisp of wind, and the chatterbait's not working, that Texas rig is gonna get some bites. So anyways, guys, thank you, Allie, for everything that you do, and everybody else at St. Jude. Really appreciate you, and hopefully this helps you catch more fish. I'm gonna see you the next time I go to the hospital. Other than that, everybody else, links are in the description below for all the tackle that I talked about today. Thank you for watching. I'm gonna see you out on the water. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and always trust the process.